you need family to grow and to have a a family base. Erotic love is how how you find someone, how you how your population continues to grow. But friendship is the least biological, least natural, least instinctive. It's like art, it's like philosophy. It seems to have no instinctive value, but yet it gives value to our survival. I really like that quote. I believe that we cannot live a fulfilled life without it. We are created for friendship. We all crave friendship. We all crave close and meaningful relationship. And even the survey just now confirmed that the thing that contributes most towards your happiness, towards maybe your security, is close and meaningful, fulfilling relationships. And of course, during lockdown and COVID, I think we've appreciated this even more, right? How much we need friendship, how much we need human interaction. I believe that isolation is not good for us as humans. I want to share an interesting piece of research that was done. It's by Harvard. There was a study done. It's a 80-year plus study, a longitudinal study. And it started in 1938, where they took 268 Harvard students initially, and they expanded it to take also inner city kids from Boston. And as time went on, they included their children, their grandchildren, and this sample grew to over 2,000 people. And they studied basically their whole life journey and asked them questions, sent them surveys about their life. They tracked their health, they tracked their triumphs, their failures in their career, in their marriage. And so basically they got a picture of these people's lives throughout their entire journey, throughout their entire life. And this study still continues today. It's one of, I believe it's the longest ever study about human life. And the surprising finding that they found, and I just quote from the chief, if you like, of this research, Robert Waldinger. He says, the surprising finding is that our relationships and how happy we are in our relationships has a powerful influence on our health. So that was something that they found very startling, is that the most important thing in terms of living a long life and being healthy was the closeness and quality of relationships. And he said this: taking care of your body is important, but tending to your relationships is a form of self-care too. That, I think, is the revelation. Robert Waldinger, who is the director, and he's a psychiatrist at Massachusetts Hospital, and he's also the head of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. If you're interested to learn more about this, you can listen to his TED Talk on YouTube. It's only 15 minutes, I think, and it's lessons from the longest study on happiness. He said, close relationships, more than money or fame, are what keep people happy throughout their lives. Those ties protect people from life's discontents, help to delay mental and physical decline, and are better predictors of long and happy lives than social class, IQ, or even genes, genetics. That finding proved true across the board for both the Harvard study, the Harvard men, as well as the inner city participants. So very interesting that what contributes most towards our happiness is actually the quality of our relationships, our friendships, also including our romantic relationships. It also includes that, but I think also our friendships. I want to share some worldly wisdom on friendship. The American playwright Tennessee Williams says, life is partly what we make it and partly what it is made by the friends we choose. Again, C.S. Lewis, friendship is the greatest of worldly goods. Certainly to me, it is the chief happiness of life. If I had to give a piece of advice to a young man about a place to live, I think I should say, sacrifice almost everything to live where you can be near your friends. It's good when we live close to our friends. It makes a huge difference. It's one of the chief happinesses of life. One of my other favorite quotes, Buzz Lightyear, the important thing is that we stick together. And again, I'm coming back to you got a friend in me there. We need friendship. We were created for friendship. The Bible has a lot to say about friendship, and I'll be sharing a little bit about this later. But I just want to share one verse from Proverbs 18. It says, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And I think that says something interesting about the discovery of friendship, because we like to choose our companions, right? We like to choose people that we think we have things in common with. We like their, their hobbies, their lifestyle, their view on life. But there is a friend. It's not like you choose this. There is a friend. There will be someone who appears in your life who sticks closer than a brother or than a sister. You can have a spiritual friendship with someone that can be even closer than your own siblings. And I think for me, before I joined the church, I had many companions. I had many kind of acquaintances, many people that I was hanging out with, mainly based on similar hobbies, similar activities, similar vices, similar sins, you could say. But when I joined the church, I think God really revealed friends in my life that have now stuck closer to me than even my own sibling could. And that's the discovery of friendship. I believe spiritual friendship is that God can reveal people, God can bring you people that you couldn't choose yourself, that will be closer to you, that will be able to stick by you, that will be consistent in your life. Coming to Indonesia, I had to kind of start again and rebuild friendships. I think in the UK, I had very close friendships in the church as well as outside of the church. Coming to Indonesia, coming to Jakarta 4 years ago now, I had to really start from scratch. But again, I think God has brought people in my life here that have become very close spiritual friends and spiritual brothers to me. And I'm really grateful for that. We can't choose that. We have to allow God to reveal that to us, and God will do that. So that's just what I want to share initially. But let's start with this question, and I'm going to invite Alicia to share her thoughts on this. How should we choose our friends? You're probably asking that question now. It's like, okay, it's great to have spiritual friends, but how do we choose that? How do we discover that? How does that process work, and what should we be aware of? So I'm going to ask Alicia to jump in and share as well. So go ahead, Alicia.
Okay, so how should we choose our friends? That's a very interesting question, right? So we go to the next slide, and we know this very famous saying, birds of a feather flock together, which is basically that people who hang around each other are similar to one another. So the question that we have for you guys is, in the next slide, for also another mentee, is, do you believe that you are who you hang out with? And I think it's the same mentee code, actually.
Let me just go over to the mentee again and shift it. So one sec. All right, let's try that out. All right. A lot of people are saying yes, Alicia, to your question. Wow. 0 no's so far.
Well, that's good, I guess. The awareness is good.
Wow. So I think overwhelmingly support for that question. That yes, that's interesting. Wait a couple more responses. Do you believe we are who we hang out with? Interesting. Okay. Wow. Overwhelmingly yes. 24. Okay. We'll stop it there. We'll go back to the slides.
So after seeing the mentee, I think we can come to a conclusion that basically most of us believe that yes, we are who we hang out with. But what does the world say? What does experts say about that, right? So a social psychologist from Humboldt State University actually says that the more of your identity you draw from a group, even when you're not around the group, the more likely you are to uphold those values. And in a study that was done in Framingham, it says that a person is 50% more likely to drink heavily if they are directly connected to a heavy drinker, whereas a person is only 36% more likely to drink heavily if a friend of a friend is a heavy drinker. So basically, like, we can see the correlation of how our friendships and people directly connected to us can actually affect our lives. And a professor of medicine at Harvard actually said that we found that the influence of your friends and people you have connections with can affect your health just as much as your family history or your genetic background, which, you know, I've read more articles on this, and it says it's very interesting because they did research about like how likely are you to quit smoking or start smoking if you hang around people who do the same. And people who have more friends that smoke, let's say, they are less likely to be able to quit. You know, so I think like our friendships actually do affect our habits, and I guess are good, both good and bad. And on the next slide, you know, so basically, you know, we are who we hang out with, just like the Spider-Man memes, like, you're you, no, you're you, you're me, that kind of thing. Okay, moving on, that was just a funny meme. But what does the Bible say about friendships, right? So 1 Corinthians 15, verse 33, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. I think this is a very, I guess, famous verse that most of us know. And the next verse that we have is in Proverbs 22nd, which is, make no friendship with a man given to anger, nor go with a wrathful man, lest you learn his ways and entangle yourself in a snare. So, you know, God kind of warns us that if we make friends with like the wrong people, we can be led to the wrong path. But, you know, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be friends. Like, oh, I'm going to judge you, like, oh, you're a bad person, I don't want to be friends with you. You know, Jesus is a loving God, you know, like Jesus was a friend of sinners, as we all know, but he chose to influence them rather than be influenced by them. So we need to have, you know, a core community which influences us to grow spiritually as we seek to build friendship with the world, you know. So we need to make sure that we have this core friendship so that we can actually influence the world to be and our other friends and help them grow spiritually instead of the outside influencing us. And so how is spiritual friendship different than worldly friendship, right? And so now we have the interview section.
Awesome. So I'm going to introduce a little bit more our wonderful guest speakers tonight. I'm going to spotlight them so we can see them. And let me spotlight myself. Awesome. So we have the amazing, the wonderful Robert and May, who are joining us. Robert, May, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to jump in and join us. Robert, you may have recognized both of them. Definitely Robert, because we play a lot of Gekadei worship videos on Sunday. So if you're wondering, that guy looks familiar, it's probably because you've seen him leading our worship on Sunday. Both of them are very talented in music. May is a great singer. Robert is a great musician and singer as well. They're very talented. They're very awesome people. But you know, they just got married. I think. How long has it been now, guys? Since you guys got married?
3 months.
3 months. Yeah.
3 months. Okay, so still in the honeymoon. Still in the honeymoon.
Yes.
That's awesome. And they lead the campus ministry, which is, you know, a big group of young people in the church. And I'm sure it's a big responsibility, but I think, you know, with so many kind of young people, I think understanding this topic on friendship, I think is important. And I think you guys really understand what spiritual friendship looks like and how to practice it, and the challenges as well that come along with it. So we've got some questions that we just want to kind of get your guys' thoughts on, and you guys can help us here. So maybe Alicia can kick off with the first question we have.
Okay, so hi, Robert and May. The first question we have for you is, what was your view towards friendship before you joined the church and became a Christian?
Our view. Apa dulu?
Friendship, yeah.
Yeah. My own view of friendship is like short escape from my trouble, from my family, because I have a innocence or introvert, kind of malu-malu gitu ya kalau bahasa Indonesianya. I hate being with a lot of people. I hate being vulnerable. I hate being talk to a lot of people. And pas kuliah, tapi ketemu dengan a lot of worldly friends, and bisa punya short escape dengan mereka, tapi nggak membangun. It's not helping me to grow. And clubbing, kerjanya clubbing, drugs, What else? Banyak banget hal-hal yang justru menghancurkan gitu, disrupt my character. And different from May. Kalau kamu lebih ke insecure ya?
Yeah.
Kalau towards friendship ya. Your view?
Okay.
Maybe.
Kalau aku in my
Malu-malu,
side, shy cat. Yeah, kalau I came from a very dysfunctional family, where my parents divorced, and I got a lot of abusive, physical abusive from my parents, from my brother. So I think I grew up pretty much very insecure, mistrust, and then the worst part is, since I was in the kindergarten, I got bullied a lot. Gitu. Jadi kayak dibully tuh udah makanan sehari-hari gitu. Setiap hari I always listen to a lot of people kayak, kalau lo mau make friendship with me, you gotta stay away from May gitu. You know what? It happens.
That sounds like Mean Girls in
It happens because different color of skin tone gitu, karena
the race
ya karena kebanyakan most of them are Chinese. I'm actually like half Chinese, blasteran ya kan, Cina Jawa, tapi I don't look like Chinese that time, so like, no, don't make friends with May, gitu, because she's ugly. So actually it happened for quite a long time. Jadi kayak I got a lot of abusive relationship from my friends, dari dulu di abuse, dibully, dan di keluarga juga. In my families also happen to have that juga gitu. Jadi I grew up very like so insecure. I don't have a lot of friends. Even though close friends juga aku punya, tapi kayak ada skema-skema di mana kayak kayaknya dia juga ngomongin gue deh gitu. So I don't like I don't have a lot of friends gitu. Jadi kayak susah banget untuk bisa beda banget ya, different from Robert. Robert's like partying. Me is like, I don't have friends, I cannot make friends gitu. I don't have belief system di friendship gitu. Jadi nggak bener-bener merasa secure in friendships gitu. Temen mungkin I have few friends yang close, tapi I never get the chance to tell about my history gitu. Karena maksudnya especially tentang kayak kelemahan atau tentang keluarga aja, karena once I talk about my family, terus kayak mereka kayak tiba-tiba all the sudden they were like, she came from a dysfunctional family, so she must be like that gitu. Pasti dia orangnya rusak juga. Jadi dari situ kayak benar-benar mistrustnya sangat tinggi. I just really push away people kayaknya from my closest friends gitu. Jadi mungkin teman ada, but at the same time different from Robert, I just don't believe in friendship. So that was my view from before I became a disciple. So it's like I don't believe in friendship.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being vulnerable, guys. Appreciate that. That's helpful to understand kind of how you guys viewed relationship, in the past, and I think I can relate to a lot of what you guys shared. How about when you guys, joined church and you guys, decided to become Christian, and then you're met with a lot of different people and trying to figure out how to build, friendships in a spiritual way. As a Christian, how was that process, and were there any challenges in terms of, building friendships now as a new person, as a new creation, as a Christian? What do you guys think?
Okay. For me, of course, there are a lot of challenges, because first, mistrust, and then I don't like being vulnerable because it seems very weak, and I'm just afraid that if I share about my family, my weakness, there are no more friends that I have right now gitu later on gitu. Jadi kayak aduh jangan, pokoknya aku nggak boleh terlihat jelek gitu. I cannot look I don't have to share anything, any of my weaknesses, karena I always want acceptance from a lot of friends gitu. Jadi aku selalu pasang boundaries that kalau berteman pun one day I always want to have a friend yang sesuai gitu sama what I want. I just want a friend yang click and then not hurting my feelings anymore, because I'm like done with the drama. Jadi kayak aku selalu suka kayak ya udah deh yang yang asik-asik aja gitu. But well, when meeting a lot of friends in the church, especially, I know that I'll be dealing with a lot of like kind of characters and then different people yang nggak sama gitu, that different from me, dan aku nggak bisa yang choose my friends kayak oh yaudah gue cuma pengen temenan sama yang itu aja atau enggak segala macam gitu. I cannot be like that. There's one time, actually the person is here, named Jody. Hi Jody, I hope you're there.
Hi Jody.
I have a very good friendship right now with him, but once back in the day, Jody is like my enemy, because you know why? Dia tuh very insensitive, parah, jokesnya bisa yang kayak kok lo jelek banget sih? Oh my god.
Irritating banget.
What? You look ugly. I was like, what? Yeah, I mean, aku bisa yang kayak that time kayak, ih, apaan sih ini orang gila? I don't want to make friends with him. Pokoknya bye, goodbye gitu kan. I don't like that person gitu. I even talk to my disciple like, bisa nggak dia dikeluarin aja dari, can he just leave this group? Because I don't like this person gitu. Tapi of course those are things yang aku jadi belajar bahwa yes, I have a lot of like difficulty in the past, but at the same time, I also want to reflect how Jesus was forgiving and how Jesus also, I don't know, I learned a lot about how Jesus itu connection. Jesus loves the connection. Gitu. Jadi, I think why me and Jody can be like that because we don't have a lot of deep connections. Gitu. Jadi, when we reconcile and then like sorry, say sorry, be humble, and then try to connect. Right now, we can just bully each other, but very secure.
Yeah. I think there is psychology things called cross-race effect. If we born in Indonesia, kayak ngelihat orang Korea mukanya or you know kayak sama semua gitu, or in India kayak DJ sama Sonya, kita lihat kayak mukanya sama banget deh.
They look similar gitu.
Look the same. Yeah. Tapi itu memang ada psychology yang ada di dalam diri kita gitu. Dan bisa membuat kita jadinya punya passing judgment towards other, you know. Jadi kalau May Chinese pasti dia pelit gitu. Kalau dia kulit hitam pasti dia you know, judgment, assumption, dan itu adalah hal yang paling bahaya. Dan psikologi juga bilang bahwa cara untuk bisa menghilangkan cross race effect itu dengan ngobrol, make friendship, talk to every kind of, you know, race or skin color, or orang dari manapun kita bisa berteman gitu. Kadang-kadang kita bisa melihat orang yang lower than us or bahkan di atas kita bisa insecure, kadang di bawah kita bisa sangat sombong, dan kita nggak mau berteman dengan mereka, nggak mau deh berteman dengan Mei gitu, kayak teman-teman zaman dulu, kayaknya nggak level gitu. Tapi semakin kita biarkan hal itu terjadi, semakin kita nggak bakal bisa ngelihat bahwa friendship itu ternyata bisa heal each other punya problem sebenarnya. Dan bagus sebenarnya dengan kita bisa make connection, spend time, open aja, dan being vulnerable and loving each other, being loved too. Jadi nggak menutup punya, you know, the biggest wall di dalam kita berhubungan sama orang gitu. I think itu sih.
Oh, thanks for sharing. That's a great, very, very good point about how friendships in church can heal our differences and heal our own misconceptions about people. That's such a good point. Alicia, do you want to continue?
Yeah, I think I resonate with May, and I had also struggles in building friendship at first, because also I used to be like super introverted, and I think my struggle was more like, aduh, kayak I don't need to make new friends, and I don't want to. I'm so awkward. Kayak why do I need to? Gitu. It took so long until I could finally like take that like one step out of my comfort zone, and then baru bisa kayak build friendship and trust. And I think like after that it became like so natural and easy gitu ya. But you know, like because like now I want to ask like how has spiritual friendships helped you guys?
You
wanna...
Proverbs 27:17, I think, says that iron sharpens iron. Tapi di Complete Jewish Bible versionnya dia bilang bahwa, jadi lupa tuh. Dia bilang bahwa just iron sharpens iron, a person sharpens the character of his friend. Dan tadi yang bicara tentang cross-dress effect, kita make friends di dalam gereja, itu adalah hal yang sangat-sangat bisa bantu kita justru saling menajamkan dan bertumbuh gitu. Make us stronger, bukan membuat, kadang-kadang kita bisa bilang, aduh kayaknya make friendship tuh exhausted banget gitu, kayak bikin capek gitu. Abis ngobrol sama orang tuh kayak capek banget buat orang yang introvert, yang nggak seneng ngobrol sama orang, tapi you know, it's kinda training aja buat kita. Nanti mungkin satu tahun, 2 tahun udah sangat terbiasa, dan kita bahkan bisa help other people yang dia mungkin stage-nya masih di dalam stage yang nol gitu. Kita udah di stage yang level 5, dia di level 0, dan kita bisa naiknya bareng-bareng. Jadi having a spiritual relationship is like having a healthy relationship that help you grow. Lebih ke sana.
Aku boleh pakai itunya?
Boleh.
Oke, siap.
Oke.
Oke. Tadi pertanyaan apa ya? Lupa saya.
Spiritual friendship.
How has spiritual friendships helped you?
Okay. Kalau like I said before, like my background, because I don't really like conflict and connection, because basically I hate people so much gitu. I don't like friendships. Jadi waktu when I become a disciples, I know that God wants connection, God wants us to reconcile to one another. But I've learned so much how I should go out from my comfort zone gitu kan, tentang bisa lebih vulnerable gitu. Kalau dulu kan I was afraid of being vulnerable and telling all about my insecurities and weaknesses gitu. Karena terlihat I'm just afraid of people look at me like, you're so weak gitu. That's the thing that I'm really like afraid of gitu. Tapi when I know in the Bible says you gotta confess if you have sin atau make sins dan segala macam, that really helps me to like, oh iya ya, I actually have to like confess my sin tuh with my sisters gitu. Dan when I train myself untuk kayak confess and then dan cerita and then being vulnerable, I try to build connection gitu. I have one of my closest friends here, Abigail. I love that how we build the friendships in a weird way karena we try to like confess each other gitu. Kayak aku what I'm very happy about is that kita tuh nggak ashamed of our sin gitu. We're not ashamed of our weaknesses. Kayak I can just be like, Gail, lu kenapa begini, bla bla bla. You sorry, May. And then dia bisa yang kayak I also can come to Abigail kayak, sorry, kemarin gue begini segala macam. And it helped me to be like vulnerable gitu. Kayak spiritual friendships help aku nggak hanya tentang kayak oh ya lu harus terbuka gitu. You have to be vulnerable, but healthy relationship and spiritual friendships helps me to know God even more.
Yeah.
That's the most important part.
Yeah.
Kayak mungkin kayak Abigail, kita mungkin berbeda karakternya dan segala macam, tapi what I love the most is I can know God from her gitu. Dan of course Jody di sini juga kayak bisa benar-benar kayak lihat Tuhan aja gitu di satu sama lain. So what I'm very happy about is that our friendships makes us closer, not only to each other, but to God. Itu sih yang paling penting.
I think when we talk about vulnerable, when Adam and Eve sama Tuhan, I think the biggest mistakes or the biggest problem is when they not being vulnerable about apapun yang mereka rasa gitu ya, dan itu bicara banyak banget dan dalam tentang ternyata relationship itu memang butuh vulnerable, and so important to being vulnerable, you know.
Wow, yeah, great point. Thanks for sharing that, guys. Another question I have is, a lot of people, I think, when they're in a when they're in a relationship, such as marriage or in dating, it kind of seems like that's enough, right? Because we have a very close friendship already. So I think maybe you've shared about it a little bit already, but why do you guys think it's important to invest in friendships? Like, I mean, I think you've kind of shared around this, but what motivates you? What do you think is outside of dating or marriage? Why do we still need it, do you think?
To have short escape from my wife.
What?
No, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Crazy.
I mean, we need to have a lot of view and helper. Tapi I know my priority is her. When kalau misalkan ada hal yang kurang dari seorang suami atau pasangan atau you're dating gitu ya, pasangan kalian pasti bisa melihat hal yang memang nggak kelihatan. Tapi banyak orang juga punya another angle yang bisa ngelihat hal yang bisa di-shape juga di dalam diri kita. Dan I think kita masih butuh untuk bisa punya banyak banget friendship di dalam gereja. Dan itu bisa bantu kita gitu. Nggak hanya dengan Mei, misalkan lagi berantem sama Mei, jadi bisa ngobrol sama yang lain.
Gossip.
Tapi,
Like, you know what, May is like.
just kidding. Kalau kamu?
For me, I think yes, like I have to be really secure with my husband. Like I talked to a lot of like old couples. They told me like nanti when you grow older, having husband itu enough gitu. You will be content, and then you need no other people gitu kan. Kayak I always told like that gitu. Jadi kayak with husband itu pasti enough deh. Pokoknya lu tinggal berdua aja, yang lain kayak ngontrak gitu kan. Like the other person ran this world gitu. This is your own world. Tapi I think I just want to be like yes, I'm secure. I love Robert, and then I want to like be with him forever in my life. But at the same time, I also have to be like Jesus. Gitu. By all means, is that Jesus loves the connection with people. Gitu kan. Jesus teach us juga untuk kayak you go make disciples and teach them. How can I like teach people? I don't build friendships with a lot of people gitu. Then I think what I really want is that I want to feel God. Yes, I feel God with Robert, but I also can feel God with other people. So like, why do I need to invest in friendship to other people? Is that because I know God also has a plan for other people, and also I want to learn from them. Okay, I like how Paul says in the Church of Ephesians. He says that if you want to feel God's love, you can grasp how wide, how long, and how big His love for us is when you meet the holy people. So I was learn that because I don't want to learn from Robert. I want to learn from a lot of people. So that's why I need more friendships.
You don't want to learn from me?
I also want to learn from you, Robert. He's a
only me.
Yeah, but I also need like a lot of like people that I can feel how big my God is. So from other people's point of view, I can feel more about God.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's a great perspective. Great perspectives. Thank you for sharing that. One final question for you guys I have is, how do you deal with friction in spiritual friendship, in friendships in the church? You guys are both Christians. How do you guys deal with friendship? What are some good ways that maybe you can deal with it? What are some bad ways that maybe we can deal with friendship in church? What do you guys think?
Okay. I think kita bisa pikir bahwa unconditionally love is only from Jesus only. You know, agape, the kind of love. But when I see the Bible and ternyata kita tuh sebenarnya bisa mengasihi orang unconditionally. Memang nggak akan bisa perfect, tapi I love when I have a mindset unconditionally means biblically. So if if I had a problem with May or with DJ, I just open the Bible and look for the verse that lagi punya masalah apa. Oke, berarti harus datang karena dibilang di sana kalau kita punya masalah kita harus datang. Bahkan kalau kita mungkin orang lain salah tapi kita tahu hubungannya lagi ada problem, ya kenapa nggak kita datang duluan gitu? Kenapa kita nggak memaafkan duluan? Kenapa kita menunggu orang minta maaf baru kita mau hubungan itu kembali bagus gitu ya? Tapi Bible bilang bahwa sebenarnya belajar aja dari Bible dan kita akan bisa ngerti bahwa unconditionally love itu bisa dilakukan kalau kita mau belajar gitu. Jadi pas ada problem ya udah kita hadapin aja, face it aja. Misalnya ada problem dengan orang yang lebih tua, lebih muda, sama aja, biblically aja. Lihat dari Bible how to-nya and why and what is the purpose of being, bisa memaafkan satu sama lain dan itu yang membantu sampai hari ini, sampai detik hari ini bisa punya nggak selalu berteman itu nggak ada masalah ya.
Yeah.
Pasti ada masalah. Dan itu bisa banyak bantu waktu kita bisa sit down, open the Bible, pray, and ya udah lakukan apa yang dia bilang gitu. Gitu.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think for me, when you ask like how do you deal with conflict. First, I don't like conflict at all. It's like
we hate.
Yeah, we hate conflict, especially girls. We just like, aduh kalau bisa make peace with a lot of people. But we cannot be like that because we have weaknesses. Kita punya banyak hal yang kita berbeda. So dari orang lain. Jadi one day pasti akan punya tekan gitu. One day maybe pasti ada lah berantemnya dan pasti ada konfliknya gitu. One thing that I help so much adalah waktu ada tentang vulnerable yang kalau misalnya kamu datang, kalau kamu have problems with your family atau friends, ya selesain dulu baru kamu udah bisa datang ke Tuhan. So what I think dulu tuh kayak aduh gila susah nggak mau, I don't want that gitu. Kalau bisa avoid aja. If I can avoid then I will definitely avoid that. Tapi that came when somebody, my spiritual friend said to me kayak, May, you know what? Vulnerable doesn't mean that you're weak. Vulnerable means you need help. So everyone here needs help. Okay, you are helpless gitu. Without God, you're helpless. So that I was like, oh, okay. Berarti it doesn't mean that I'm weak gitu. I just have to be humble that I need help. Okay, so that time the problem with Jody again, the troublemaker. I was like, okay, God, I need help to humble my heart to accept him as a human because I just hate him so much. Gitu kan, that time kayak kalau bisa gue tonjok gitu lah. So that time I was like, okay, God, I need to like be humble. I need to know that he's also my brother, and I also have to work on how you other people, how you accept other people, how you deal with that, how you confess. Jadi what helps me and how I deal adalah kayak knowing I'm helpless gitu. I need help. So I need help from God. I need help from my brothers and sisters. I need a lot of advice. So how I did that, okay, then after I came to him, and then waktu kita bersama-sama, I'm so grateful that the friendship in the kingdom, we build it with the words of God. I think a lot of people kayak mau sama-sama untuk cinta firman Tuhan. Jadi waktu aku udah I'm ready to like reconcile with Jody that time was also like, okay, gue juga mau humble gitu, because I know that he loves the words of God juga gitu kan. Jadi waktu kita ketemu udah sama-sama humble, and then kita benar-benar mau make friend itu karena kita benar-benar mau cinta Tuhan. Ya, I think itu yang membuat kita sampai sekarang bully each other but secure in God in our friendship gitu. Jadi how I deal when I need to be vulnerable, not because I'm weak, but I need to be helped.
Yeah,
Wow.
as a man, I think the biggest problem or the biggest wall is pride.
Yeah,
You know, uh,
sure.
as a man, you know what I'm saying. And kalau 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 sebagai laki-laki, saran atau tips or tricks gitu ya, yang paling ampuh buat gue pribadi, buat buat untuk bisa, okay, I have to deal with the problem is turn off my pride,
Yeah.
turn off, and itu
Mhm.
bantu banyak banget case di mana, okay, friendshipnya jadi bagus lagi.
Wow. Wow, that's a good point. That's a great point. Yeah. Well, that's it for our questions for you guys. Robert, May, I just want to thank you guys so much because I think what you shared was super helpful. Round of applause, everyone, for our wonderful guest speakers, Robert and May, joining us tonight. Please do join us again, guys. We'd love to have you share more. That was really helpful perspective on friendship, and I think there's a lot that we can relate to. So I'll just continue now with Alicia. I mean, I thought that was super helpful, Alicia. What did you think? What was helpful for you?
Yeah, I think that was really helpful too. I think the point about having our friends juga, we have our partner to like kind of see our not flaws, but I guess to help us grow, but we also need friends to do that. And
Yeah.
I think that my godly friendships really helped me to step out of my comfort zone from being like someone really introverted. I remember it was like this pivotal moment like 2 years ago where I was this sad introverted girl who just like broke up, and I was like, oh, my world is crushing down upon me. And then like I had my sisters who were there who it was either I think it was like a road, either I ran away from God or I would run to God. And I'm so thankful that my sisters were there to help me run towards God and help me facilitate to get closer to God. And in turn, I learned to grow, I think, bit by bit. The friendship that they gave me, like the love that I felt that they gave me, like it became like an outpouring of love that I felt like I should give to other people too. And that made
Wow.
me like I think it helped grow me as a person. I remember taking the Myers-Briggs test, and I'm close to being like an extrovert, I guess. And now when I tell people I'm an introvert, no one believes me. But I think like for those of you who's known me for like years, I think like I'm very different, like from being very quiet to like being like this right now, I guess.
You have definitely changed and grown a lot. I'm similar. I mean, I'm actually introverted as well, and that surprises people. But I think I've grown from being in the church in terms of seeing the need for friendship, seeing the importance of it, and being open to discovering the church. So I think that's so true, how God can change someone through the community and through friendship. And I think that's what we really saw tonight, from Robert and May sharing as well, just how much God works through friendship and through community, and how it sharpens us and helps us to grow. So yeah, I think what we'll do is I'm going to take it home now and just share a little bit more. So I'll just close us out by sharing about what does it actually take to be a spiritual friend? Like, what does it take to be a spiritual friend? If that's kind of the last question that I want us to close with before we go to the breakout rooms. The first is we have to be friends with Jesus. For us to be a spiritual friends means Jesus needs to be our homeboy. Jesus needs to be our close friend, right? John 15:15 says, I no longer call you servants because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. And that's kind of a crazy thought for a second. If you let that sink in, that the creator of the universe wants to be friends with you. Like, if God can become friends with you, how much easier should it be in theory for us to become friends with people that are maybe different from us, right? In the church, for example. Let that sink in for a sec. Jesus wants to be friends with you. For us to be a good spiritual friend, we need to grasp the fact that God wants to be our friend and we need to be friends with him. Secondly, we need to be consistent. Proverbs says, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. Our siblings are there for us during really challenging times, adversities, but a true friend loves at all times, is there throughout the good times, throughout the bad times. And I think the really important aspect of friendship is being consistent. Am I consistent as a friend? Sometimes I just get caught up in my own selfishness, to be honest with you. Sometimes I get caught up in my own worries, and we can neglect friendship. We can become focused on our own problems, on our own business, on our own careers. We need to be consistent in our friendships. If we're only there at the worst time in people's lives, but we're not there in the other times, or if we're only there in the triumphs, but not in the sadness, then that's not really the mark of spiritual friendship. We need to be considerate of others, of our friends. So Philippians 2 says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. Do we consider other people's interests? Do we think about our friends and what they're going through and what their needs are? Or are we actually too focused on ourselves and on our own issues and problems? Right? For us to be spiritual friends, we need to really be considerate. We need to be thinking about others. Because if we're not considerate of them, then surely we'll not be able to encourage them. 4, we need to be candid. Proverbs 27, better is an open rebuke than hidden love. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. And I love that proverb. So one of the amazing and unique things about spiritual friendship is that you can speak the truth to someone in love, because you know that by speaking to the truth to them, they need that and they can grow. And in the world, it's just so rare that people actually bring the truth to you. So this is one of the amazing things, is we can really be candid, we can be honest in spiritual friendship. And that's a really important mark of spiritual friendship. Finally, we need to be a counselor. Proverbs 27 says, perfume and incense bring joy to the heart, and the pleasantness of a friend springs from their heartfelt advice. We need to be able to offer counsel, offer support, offer connection, to be able to give advice that comes from the heart. And that's a really important mark of being a spiritual friend. So those are some quick practicals for how to be a spiritual friend. I just wanted to share those with us to think about. 4 C's that we can think about. But for now, we're going to go over to our breakout rooms, and we're going to ask these questions in our breakout rooms to discuss. So question 1 is, what role has friendship played in your life? So for example, like, what kind of friendships have you had and how they impacted you? Question 2 is, do you have spiritual friendships? If so, how they helped you? And final question is, what does it mean to be a good spiritual friend? What can you do to build spiritual friendship? So those are the questions we're going to be talking about in our final installment on relationships tonight in Gem Talk. Please do stick around, because Gem Talk is all about creating connections and sharing on a topic. All opinions are welcome. And so we just really want to encourage you to stick around for that. So I'm going to ask Sammy in a moment to open up the